Very good morning. So, International Economics Olympiad and the exams, we know all about it. And this is the 2023 paper of economics. I have already discussed that it consists of three parts: the eco part, the finance part, and the case study part. So, these things are there for your International Economics Olympiad. Now, here they express special gratitude to the following countries for suggesting some of the questions: Albania, Bangladesh, Brazil, Canada, Colombia, Croatia, Greece, Iran, Kyrgyzstan, Macau, Nepal, Nigeria, North Macedonia, Republic of Korea, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, Thailand. Suggestions were being collected and processed by the IEO Executive Board Academics Department and IEO 2023 Problem Committee. So here we will get mix and match of many questions for the International Economics Olympiad. See first, which of the following is an example of a field experiment? So here are the questions being given. To conduct clinical trials of a new medication, patients are randomly divided into two groups. To see which textbook are more efficient to study math, the government obliges half of the country's school to use textbook A. Different regions of a country may have different fines for speeding. So one can study how changes in fines affect driver behavior. None of the other options is correct. Obviously, the option which is correct is B. Why? A field experiment will involve applying treatment in real world and observing the outcomes. Option B fits this definition as it involves a real world intervention and subsequent observation of outcomes in the different group. So as it states, the answer which is correct is option B. Environment. To achieve the goal of carbon reduction, the government of certain country has required two domestic company A and B to reduce 100 units of carbon emission in total, assigning each of them the reduction by 50 units. So for A, the marginal cost of reducing emission is 3QA and for B it is 2QB. So the company can trade their reduction amounts between each other at the competitive price. So how much will one of the company pay the other in the equilibrium? So in a cap and trade system, companies will trade emission reduction until their marginal cost of abatement are equal. So given the marginal cost 3QA and 2QB, the equilibrium payment reflects the cost difference. So the answer would be C. Now three finance questions suddenly came. See, suppose a US 1 year interest rate is 3% per year. Okay. So while a foreign country has a 1 year interest rate of 7% per year, ignoring risk and transaction costs, a US investor should invest in foreign bonds if the expected yearly rate of depreciation of the foreign currency is. So you can see obviously the answer will be 4. Why? The investor will compare the interest rate differential, that is 7% minus 3%. Okay, that comes to 4% with the expected depreciation. So with the expected depreciation, the foreign investment is attractive if the depreciation is less than 4%. So obviously the investor should invest in foreign bonds if the expected yearly rate of depreciation of the foreign currency is 4%. Now again a finance question. It's very easy here. Why? Because they give you the demarcation that this is a finance question, again this is the economics question, and a business case study. Okay, like this. That's the second part. During a financial crisis, what potential risk can arise in the banking system? Is that bank failure, liquidity shortages, deposit flights? All other options are correct. So during a financial crisis, the risks that the banking system can get is all the other options are correct. Why? Because all financial crises can lead to bank failure, liquidity shortages or deposit flight. So it's a very common thing. The data used to measure and make conclusion about economic inequality come from various sources. So we have to mark the statement about these sources. Is that sociological survey which are good at providing data about the income of the richest quintile of the population. The administrative data about taxes paid fail to accurately reflect the income of the poorest quintile of the population. The data about having a refrigerator can provide a correct impression of economic inequality in developed country. The data on received social security benefits can be used as a good proxy for income in the whole distribution. The answer would be B. Why? Tax data often underreport the income of the lowest quintile due to lower tax compliance or non-taxable income sources. So that's why it's an answer. Now inequality, again a question. You can see in the diagram, you can see the Gini coefficient for all the individuals in the world. One of the lines, let's call it global inequality, and the Gini coefficient for all individual as if income distribution within country were perfectly equal. The other line, let's call it between countries inequality. So what conclusion we can draw from this? Around 1960, global inequality was less volatile than in between country inequality. Within country inequality in the world has been generally rising in the recent decades. So most of inequality in the world is between different individuals in the same country rather than between country. None of the other conclusions can be drawn. So you can see the diagram. Which one would be the answer? Obviously B. The observation is based on trends in inequality, highlighting increasing within country disparity. So the answer is B. International trade. See, a very easy question. Which of the following effect would be the result of introducing a quota on an imported good? We know import, export. Export means giving, import means which we intake below the market clearing quantity. Consider all market to be perfectly competitive. So the domestic supply curve shifts downward. The domestic demand curve shifts upward. Some of the domestic consumer surplus transfer to the domestic producer. Importers' profit decreases. So the answer would be C. A quota restricts supply. Obviously the supply will be restricted. It will raise the price and benefit domestic producer at the expense of the consumer. What is the closest estimate of the combined share of the two countries with the largest GDP in the whole world GDP? That is 35 only. Okay. Because the two largest economy, USA and China, collectively holds about 35% of the world GDP. Using, see the country, it produces three type of goods: car, bottle of wine, and haircuts. In the table below we can find the price and production data for 2021 and 2022. So using nominal and real GDP calculation, choose the correct statement about the economy in 2022 compared to its state in 2021. Is that real GDP grew by less than 10%? The country experienced deflation. Nominal GDP more than double. Nominal GDP growth can be explained by the growth of output to a greater extent. So yes, by analyzing the price and output change, it is evident that output growth significantly contributed to nominal GDP growth. So it's answer B. Nominal GDP growth can be explained by the growth output to a greater extent than by the growth of price. The government is concerned with the existing trade deficit. In coordination with the central bank, it considers measures to alleviate the problem. Which of the following policy would be to achieve the problem, to achieve the goal rather? So lowering prime interest rate, tax reduction for exporting firms, buying government bond, all mentioned policy will help to achieve the goal. Obviously all mentioned policies, because lowering interest rate, tax reduction for exporters and buying government bond can influence trade balance by affecting currency value, export competitiveness and economic activity. Monopoly and tax. A monopolist with the demand function Q equal to 120 minus P and total cost this faces per unit tax of $12. By how much the consumer price will? It's 2%. You calculate because Q is this and total cost is this. So per unit tax will implement. So the answer would be C. Consider a Kuno duopolistic market with a linear demand curve being given Q equal to A minus B. But firm X and Y competes by simultaneously choosing their output level. Firm X and Y have constant marginal cost. CX and CY are zero fixed cost. So which of the following chain of events is in line with this model? Is that A, B, C or D? So if Cx increases, Cy decreases, Cx decreases, Qy decreases. If A increases, Q decreases, and Cy increases, Qy increases in equilibrium. Yes, it's answer B. Cx decreases, Qy decreases, and Q increases in equilibrium. Let's suppose we observe two competitors in the automobile industry, BMW and Mercedes. All else equal, if Mercedes reduces the price of its car, we would expect what? We would expect a price reduction by Mercedes make its car more attractive, decreasing demand for BMW car and forcing BMW to lower price to remain competitive. Obviously that's common, and they will move to the left and it will decrease, and the demand will be higher. Market failure. We often observe that people with health insurance demand more pharmaceutical products, and they actually need. This phenomena is known as what? We often observe that people with health insurance demand more pharmaceutical products. Okay, so is that adverse selection, moral hazard, efficient free market outcome, profit maximization? Moral hazard. Moral hazard, why? Because individuals change their behavior because they are insulated from risks leading to overconsumption of injured service, just like the COVID situation. When people were thinking, okay, we will not get, let me conserve this, let me preserve this. So there were lines. Let's suppose Catherine just lost her job and found a new one right away, but at a lower wage rate. Based on the neoclassical theory for labor supply, so the substitution effect of the lower wage for Catherine will lead her to what? Work less hour than before, right? The neoclassical theory of labor supply, more. There's a labor and leisure theory. So lower wage decreases the opportunity cost of leisure, leading to fewer hours worked according to the substitution effect. Okay. Farm A, B, C only mango they produce and papaya. The production possibility frontier being given by Farm A and Farm B and Farm C. Now what is the maximum number of mango that they can produce together if they want to produce at least 300 papaya? If you do the thing, if you consider that production possibility frontier and allocate them, you can see the maximum number will be calculated will be 400. Do that and show me. I will tell you that you are doing the correct way or not. Banks, money and the credit market. Mrs. Smith has a nominal income of US $60,000 per year, taxed by 40%. Her wealth includes some equipment which depreciates by US $2,500 every year. Mrs. Smith decides to spend 70% of her disposable income on consumption and to invest the rest on equipment. So her equipment value will increase by how much? If I consider Mr. Smith's income, so the net increase in equipment value will be calculated and it will come to $8,300. If a producer has market power, that is with her action she can influence the market power, what we can say about the quantity produced? It is equitable, it is efficient, it maximizes consumer surplus? Obviously none, because we know it's a situation of monopoly. So there will be obviously no question of equality, no question of efficiency, no question of maximizing consumer surplus, right? So obviously the correct answer will be none of the answer. This is from monopoly. Fluctuations and macroeconomic policy. In the case of recession, which is being described with the letter U, the economy will quickly bounce back to normal. It is a case of back-to-back recession. There is a slow recovery with eventual return to normal. There is a long recession with no return to normal. Obviously, the answer will be there is a slow recovery with eventual to normal. Now see your favorite. Consider the rock, paper, scissor game with the following payoff. You can see losing this game is just as winning, because it's 0 0 1 minus 1 1 1 minus 1 1 minus 1 0 0 minus 1 1 minus 1 1. So you can do mean, max, minimum and maximum, right? Here the minimum is what? You can do like this, you can do and you can do. Here minimum is what? Minus 1. Here minimum is what? Minus 1. Here minimum is what? Minus 1. Here maximum 1. Maximum 1. Maximum 1. So is that matches? So losing this game is just hard as winning. Okay. So best of luck students, and hope your exams are good, and hope this video helps to you. Do subscribe to the channel if you like more such videos, and do tell me which year you want to get solved next time.